I think that there is so much information out there that leads to pressure. Your body has created amniotic fluid. Your blood volume is expanding. Of course, the baby itself. Like, there's so many other things, right? It's hard to see that number go up. It's hard to feel different and uncomfortable in your body.
Bradie, I have a section where I want to talk about myths and facts.
So there's not necessarily something that can be combined to prevent that symptom from coming up, but maybe it's just trying to have less of that trigger food.
When we move on to second trimester, Bradie, will you be able to educate us a bit about the increased demands and nutritional shift that happens during this trimester?
Yes. So that first big nutrition shift happens at the start of second trimester, roughly. At that time, the biggest change is that your body needs more energy. So again, that would be about the 300 to 350 calories per day, which for some people that would be like a small snack or, a small meal, depending on your appetite, how you're feeling. With increased energy needs, that means that we need more of the nutrients that supply our body with energy. So our body needs more carbs, our body needs more protein, more fats. I know before you mentioned, carbs aren't bad, so we don't have to avoid those. And that is something that I really want moms to know. There is so much pressure in this day and age that carbs are bad, that we should follow a low carb diet. But in reality, carbs are your body's first choice for energy. And growing a baby is a very, energy reliant process in your body.
Right.
So it is important to have these foods regularly.
What are the key nutrients that moms need more during this particular stage?
One of the key nutrients that I really focus on in second trimester is making sure that mom is getting a lot of iron from her diet. Iron deficiency is so common. About 25% of women in pregnancy have some level of iron deficiency. And that is because your blood volume is really rapidly expanding during pregnancy. It actually almost triples for most women during pregnancy. Because of that, iron is involved in red blood cell production. So we need to make sure that your body is getting enough iron, especially during second trimester. When we think about iron-rich foods, that would be things like animal proteins, things like meats, fish, poultry, eggs, and we also do have plant-based sources. So things like legumes, nuts, seeds, whole grains, tofu. So we do want to make sure that mom is having a variety of iron-rich foods in her diet so that we can do everything to optimize her iron stores and hopefully prevent deficiency. That is where, again, a good supplement can help to fill that gap. But that is, I would say, the main nutrient I would be focused on in second trimester.
And how can moms really safely increase their iron and calcium and protein intake, focusing on not doing too less or doing too much?
Yeah, so I would say that if we are trying to add that extra snack or extra opportunity in the day, and we're thinking about a specific balance at that time, so having proteins, which are often our iron source, combined with a fiber source, that could be a fruit, a vegetable, a whole grain, that will help to increase needs of that nutrient without necessarily overdoing it on your day. So kind of, again, that extra opportunity is what we want to focus on. Am I giving my body enough chances throughout the day to meet needs, to increase nutrient intake?
Yeah. I really want to ask you about some quick snacks that a working mom could, take to work, and because you cannot really have full meals when you're working.
Yeah.
So what would be quick snacks that they can prepare and have?
Yeah. So let's think about that kind of protein fiber balance. So it could, for example, having any fresh fruit that you enjoy. So whatever your favorite is. If we're thinking about optimizing iron intake, we can use high vitamin C sources to help with iron absorption. So strawberries, kiwis, papaya, citrus fruits, oranges, lemon, things like that. So we can take those vitamin C sources, pair it with some iron. So that could be a nut-based trail mix or some pumpkin seeds to snack on, so something like that. It could be doing an oat-based granola bar, and that would be your fiber source. We could pair that with some Greek yogurt or cottage cheese. It could be doing something like the meal prep, like egg bites are one of my favorite suggestions too. So we can pack in a lot of, again, vitamin C rich vegetables in there, anything like tomatoes, broccoli, bell peppers, dark leafy greens, and then we have that iron source with the eggs. It could be something like having some popcorn for fiber, and it could be pairing it with some protein, like some nuts to snack on. It could be doing something as simple as like a peanut butter sandwich, which I know sounds silly, but whole grain bread for fiber, peanut butter for protein and healthy fats. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah.
Something that's really important is the planning aspect. So if you can think ahead for your week and think about what snacks you want to stock up so that you're able to make those healthier food choices throughout the week, that can make all the difference.
Thank you so much, Bradie. These sounded like so effortless and very easy to manage. Even like not much of planning required, right? Very easy bites that they can carry or maybe grab from the store.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Bradie, weight gain is something that a lot of moms struggle with and I would say like worry about.
Yes.
What is like, I would ask, how should weight gain be approached in a balanced perspective?
Yeah, great question. I think that there is so much information out there that leads to pressure in terms of what is the right amount of weight to gain. Moms who feel that they don't want to gain too much weight or that they want to lose weight quickly after pregnancy. And that can be messaging that affects their dietary intake and their ability to meet their body's nutrition needs. Whether that's from social media, family, friends, their healthcare providers, it can be really, really harmful to their intake. So what I generally suggest with weight is trying to shift that focus from weight itself. As much as it can be tempting to step on the scale, to keep track of your weight gain at your prenatal appointments, trying to actually put that number out of mind and think about fueling your body first. So instead of thinking about worrying about not gaining too much, instead we want to think of it with an additive approach. My body needs more right now. That weight gain is important. It's also important to recognize that weight gain comes from so many different things. It's not the same as weight gain outside of pregnancy. When we think about weight gain during pregnancy, that is coming from the fact that your body has grown an entire new organ, your placenta. Your body has created amniotic fluid. Your blood volume is expanding. Of course, the baby itself. Like, there are so many other things that contribute to weight gain aside from tissue change. And all of those things are so important to be creating an environment for your baby to grow and thrive in. So almost trying to reframe it a little bit to remind yourself that weight gain is actually really important for the health of mom and baby, and trying to just put a little bit less emphasis on where that number falls and think about instead, how do we fuel our body in a way that supports our health?
Right. I know that moms would worry a lot if there's too much weight gain, but if we look at someone who's not gaining weight, should they be worried? Will that affect their baby in the womb if they're not gaining weight at all?
Yeah, low weight gain, it can affect their baby and lead to lower birth weights. So it is something that if someone is not gaining enough weight in pregnancy, we do want to make sure that, of course, your care provider will be checking other measures, like monitoring your baby's heart rate and fundal height and things like that to monitor your prenatal progress as well. But weight gain, if it is low, it can, be a challenge for some. And at those stages, we want to think about how can we support the body with gaining more? We want to be addressing any barriers. So is it the fact that a mom is at work and busy and she's not able to stop for breaks to eat? Is it because that nausea has kind of continued on and she's not able to have things that sit well? based on the challenges that mom is having, we may take different approaches, but overall having higher fat foods is something that can generally help with weight gain. So those nuts and seeds, high fat dairy products, avocado, fatty fish, plant-based oils, we can be really liberal with these foods to support a mom who is not necessarily gaining as much weight as her healthcare provider would like.
Let's say that you have somebody who's approaching you regarding like excessive weight gain, right? Would you suggest any changes in their diet because they are gaining too much weight?
So the first thing that we want to keep in mind is that we don't want to work on weight loss during pregnancy. Right? Weight loss requires eating less than your body needs.
True.
And when we're thinking about meeting your baby's needs, it's important that you are eating enough, right? And so generally I try to give mom reassurance that, that increase in weight is really important for baby's health, but also acknowledging that body changes are really hard, right? It's hard to see that number go up. It's hard to feel different and uncomfortable in your body. So it's not to say that those aren't valid feelings. They are so understandable and valid, but just trying to put her mind at ease that this isn't the time to think about weight loss. This is a time to make sure that you are getting enough, and that doesn't mean cutting back, if that makes sense.
Can we move on to the third trimester now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. How can somebody focus on their body, their nutritional needs when they are moving towards birth?
So a lot of key considerations that we want to have in preparing your body for labor and delivery.
Right.
We can think about the fact that labor and delivery can somewhat be like a marathon. Your body is having increased energy expenditure over a longer period of time. And so we want to fuel for that. One of the biggest emphasis in terms of preparing for labor and delivery that I make is really in third trimester prioritizing whole grains.
Okay.
So whole grains could be things like brown rice, quinoa, barley, dark rye, whole grain breads, oats, whole grain pastas, whatever type of grain that you enjoy in your family. And those whole grains are going to help essentially because they are complex carbs. They take longer to digest, and they can help to give your body some energy to store. And because of that, if we're building our energy, or what we call our glycogen stores, our body is going to have that source of energy for labor and delivery to use up and essentially be a bit better fueled going into it. So my priority in third trimester is focus on those whole grains. Make sure that you're including those at each meal at that time.
Would you say that these foods would actually support during the birth?
Yeah, they
And if
absolutely
yes,
can.
like in what terms?
Yeah.
What can we expect?
Yeah, they absolutely can. So it can help in terms of energy levels. Something else that can really help is when we're thinking about fueling during labor and delivery. So that's a really important topic to consider prior to, because again, we want to think about, do we want to pack hospital bag snacks? Are there specific foods that you want to bring to have? And it's a controversial topic because traditional kind of guidelines oftentimes suggest avoiding eating during labor and delivery.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. That
Yeah.
when you mentioned like during labor and delivery, can we really eat? Because I never knew.
It depends on your hospital that you're delivering at. It depends on your healthcare provider, and it depends on your individual pregnancy. But research does show that for low risk pregnancies, having something to eat during labor and delivery, if mom is feeling able to, can actually help to improve energy, improve quality of life during labor and delivery, and possibly actually shorten the second phase of labor. So it is something that can be a good consideration to have, whether or not you want to bring something. And then, of course, being flexible, because you may not feel like having something to eat, or again, your body may feel depleted and that you do want to refuel at that time.
Right.
If you are able to check with your healthcare provider and they okay that you can have some snacks during labor and delivery, you do want to be prioritizing what would be easy, efficient energy sources for your body. So any of those simple carbs now are a great option. So whether that's fruit, granola bars, instant oatmeal packets, dry cereal, things like that your body is just going to have that quick, efficient source of fuel, those can be great options to throw in your hospital bag. And if you feel up to it, they can definitely help. And research does show that they can improve labor outcomes.
Bradie, there's two things that are overhyped everywhere on social media, which I came across a lot too. I'm talking about having dates and raspberry leaf tea.
Yes.
What I really want to ask you is there something like they would help us to go into spontaneous labor, or it's just like overhyped? What do you think?
There is some research that raspberry leaf tea can help to start labor. Anything, any herbal products like that, there is mixed evidence on, I will say. So it's not something that I really suggest as a go-to option. But if mom is wanting to give it a try as she's approaching the end of her pregnancy, there is not risk to it at that time. It is one that we don't have a lot of research to support, so it's not my go-to suggestion.
And what about dates?
Same thing, I would say. Yeah.
What is really in there that people talk about having it during the end?
When we're thinking about fueling for labor and delivery, that's one of those really good energy sources. So if you enjoy dried fruits and you want to fuel in that way, by all means, it can be a great addition.
Bradie, is there anything that you would like to talk about in terms of preparing for labor and delivery?
I would say one other thing that I really suggest parents to do is think about meal prep and pantry prep for postpartum. It is something that the sooner that you can prepare in third trimester, the more it will help you out in postpartum.
Right.
Because once you get home from the hospital with your baby, you're going to be exhausted. You're going to have a whole list of new responsibilities and tasks that you're trying to adjust to. And one of the last things that you'll want to think about is cooking a meal.
Right.
So if you can, in the weeks leading up to labor and delivery, start to cook larger batches for meals and do some freezing of leftovers in individual containers. That will be so helpful for you to be able to pull and use in that postpartum period. You can do the same in terms of pantry snacks. So that could be stocking up on things like nuts and seeds, popcorn, dry cereal that you like to snack on, granola bars or protein bars, anything like that's quick, easy, that you love to have, that you can just snack on. The more you can prepare with pantry and freezer prep, the better. The other thing that I suggest is, family and friends are often wondering how they can help you out. And something that can be so valuable is just letting them know that a meal, support with preparation in that postpartum period can be a good thing. And again, that's not always something that's easy to vocalize when you're in it.
Right.
So during third trimester, as you may be talking to friends and family about, what it will look like in postpartum, when they may be able to visit, things like that. If they're wondering how they can help out, the idea of bringing a meal or some snack options for mom is a great option.
Yeah, having a stash of prepped meals sound like a great suggestion.
Yeah.
But when we think about freezing meals, what is the time period that's like a good time period to freeze? How long they should freeze it for, so that the nutritional value should not also go down?
Yeah, so they're good for about 6 months in the freezer. So as long as it is frozen within, you want to cool and freeze within 2 hours of cooking. And then as long as it stays in that state, it's good for about 6 months time.
Bradie, I have a section where I want to talk about myths and facts. I'm sure a lot of moms have these questions on their mind. So I'm just going to ask you, and you can elaborate on it if you want to. My first question is, you can't get enough protein from a vegetarian or vegan diet while pregnant.
You absolutely can. Yeah. So in terms of protein needs with a vegetarian and vegan diet, you can definitely meet your needs. You just have to be extra conscious that you're regularly including those sources, because gram for gram, they have less protein than animal-based options, but you can definitely do it.
Dairy is essential for calcium during pregnancy.
I would say that that's a myth. It is the easiest way to meet your calcium needs. So our dairy sources, milks, yogurts, cheeses are some of our most concentrated sources of calcium in our diet. And generally, to meet your calcium needs during pregnancy, you need to have 2 servings of high calcium foods in addition to a well-balanced diet. Your calcium needs don't actually change during pregnancy, so they stay the same as they were outside of pregnancy. The issue is if you're not getting enough, then what happens is your body will take from your own stored calcium in your bones, and it can actually affect your bone health in the future. Your baby's skeletal development is not often affected, but it can affect mom's bone health in the future. We don't want that. So the easiest way to meet your needs is through dairy products, but careful planning with milk alternatives or other medium calcium foods can definitely get you there as well.
Next is, if you're craving something, it means your body is deficient in that nutrient.
This is a fact and a myth. There's not a lot of research to support it, but there are some theories that if you're craving certain food options, then it does indicate certain nutrient deficiencies. One that can be connected to a little bit more research is when someone, for example, is craving ice, that can be connected to iron deficiency. There are also certain cravings that can come up that are not food related in pregnancy. This is called pica. And that can also at times be connected to nutritional deficiencies, but there's not a lot of research to just support that a certain food craving means that there is definitely a nutritional deficiency.
Got it. Eating spicy foods during pregnancy can harm the baby.
This is definitely a myth. If you enjoy spicy foods and they are sitting well during your pregnancy, you can for sure have them. As long as it's not triggering to reflux or any uncomfortable digestive symptoms, definitely will not harm baby.
All types of fish should be avoided during pregnancy.
Myth. We want to include fatty fish in pregnancy if possible. If you enjoy it, it is a great way to increase your omega-3 intake, which are tied to supporting baby's brain development, supporting baby's eye health. So definitely we want to include certain fish. We just want to limit fish that are higher in mercury content. So things like fresh tuna, swordfish, shark, orange roughy, those are some of the ones that we do want to be avoiding. But smaller, non-predatory fish, things like salmon, mackerel, sardines, trout, those are great options to be including for healthy fats.
Eating a high-fat diet during pregnancy will make your baby gain too much weight.
Myth. So it is about kind of your total energy intake, not necessarily, what nutrient that your energy is coming from. So it is something that a high-fat diet will not necessarily lead to having a larger baby.
While we were talking, I just recalled of something. When we talk about symptoms, there's another common symptom which is reflux. And that's like so common. I personally had it too.
Yeah.
What are the foods that you would suggest one should avoid? And what are the foods that can help with reflux?
Yes. So in terms of foods that someone should avoid with reflux, so that may be things that are spicy foods, that could be higher fat foods, whether it's like a fried food or snack food like chips, but also for some women, healthy fats. So things like nuts, seeds, avocado, those could possibly be triggering as well. Also things like acidic foods, so whether that's tomato, kiwi, strawberries, citrus fruits, those may be a little bit triggering. So those are some of the most common triggers. There are no foods necessarily associated with relieving reflux. Generally, I suggest more lifestyle changes around meals. So those smaller, more frequent meals can really help. For some women, avoiding eating and drinking at the same time can help. So saving your fluids for at least 15 or 30 minutes kind of before and after meals. We also want to think about positioning after eating. So, a lot of the times after we have a meal, especially in the evening time, we may go and lie down on the couch and relax, have that downtime, and gravity plays a really big role in reflux. So if we can remain in that upright position, making sure that we're not kind of slouched down or lying down, that can a lot of the times help with alleviating symptoms too.
And if we talk about citrus fruits that could trigger, if somebody wants to take citrus foods, like maybe they enjoy that and it's like also helping with vitamin C intake,
Yeah.
what can they possibly combine it with to not trigger the reflux?
What I would say is that with any food trigger, the amount is often what will set off a symptom. So it could be that having half an orange, mom is totally okay. She eats the full orange, it's really triggering. So there's not necessarily something that can be combined to prevent that symptom from coming up, but maybe it's just trying to have less of that trigger food, being able to still enjoy it, have some nutrients from that source without sending her over the edge with symptoms.
Bradie, it was a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm sure a lot of moms to be and those who are planning for pregnancy will benefit from this conversation. This episode is packed with a lot of insights, and from Bradie's expertise, we heard so many things about what to eat and what will benefit when you're planning for pregnancy or when you're in first, second, or third trimester. Thank you so much for coming, Bradie. It was such a lovely chat.
Thank you so much for having me. I love talking about perinatal nutrition, and one of the most important things that I want to emphasize is it can be so individual. Every single person's experience can be different. So if you have any prenatal questions coming up in terms of nutrition, then anyone can always feel free to speak with a registered dietitian, reach out to me by social media, and make sure that you're turning to trusted sources of evidence for your information.
Wonderful.